Parents wonder why their children are not as successful as they are, and it's because you rob them of learning the same skills that you learned by overdoing, by overgiving.
I think one of the things that I was a child of the 70s and 80s, right? I was born in 61, graduated high school in 80, and my dad had a TV shop in the backyard, and we lived in a small rural town called Quinlan, Texas, and he envisions me taking over that TV shop when I turned 18, and that was it was very far from the truth. I didn't want anything to do with it, and I didn't want to inherit it. I wanted to be a athletic trainer for the Dallas Cowboys, which they shot that they shot that down immediately because they were like, "Well, that's not going to happen because we don't have the money for that. You'll that'll never happen." They didn't they didn't encourage me or anything. And as I grew older, I found out that he wanted me to inherit his TV shop, and I was like, no, Lord, no. He worked all day and he came home and ate supper and then went out and worked in the TV shop from, 7 o'clock at night until midnight or wee hours of the morning. And I know that he was paying bills, right? He was doing that not because necessarily he loved doing it, but he was doing what he had to do to put food on the table and pay the mortgage and all of that. And I respect that. And you know, I could have probably responded to that a little more delicately.
Ah,
But as a child, no, I was like, "Nope, not interested. Thank you. Thanks, but no thanks." And looking back now, I can only imagine how that hurt his feelings, or whatever. And I think that parents, we want the best for our kids, right? We not only want the best for our children, but we want our children to have a better life than what we had, right?
correct.
And we don't want them to suffer the bad consequences of our stupid mistakes, right? And there's nothing wrong with, as you're raising your children, being transparent and saying, like when I was between the ages of 18 and 26, I was a raging dumpster fire. It's only by the grace of God that I'm sitting here talking, right? But I lived through all of that garbage, and I would like to think I became a better man, a better husband, a better father. And but I think that parents envision their children's future. Like doctors want their kids to be doctors, lawyers want their kids to be lawyers, and we push that vision on them. And when they don't live up to that expectation, like we have these unrealistic expectations for our kids, right? And parents, when they finally come to the realization of, well, this is a living, breathing human being that's an adult child that has a life of their own. They have their own dreams, they have their own visions, they have their own likes and dislikes. And all of a sudden, the parent's like, wow, I don't know how to deal with this, and so it becomes a slap in the face, or it becomes, has some shock value, I think, for them.
Well, I think that's true. I think that parents have expectations. They sometimes live out the dreams that they didn't do themselves. They want to live through their children. If they have low self esteem, they give their power over to their children. So their children's success becomes their success. They they feed off of their children instead of just letting their children feed off of them. Our parents, our wounds become our children's wounds.